welcome to week 9 of University Life. You're almost there, and this week we spoke about internal cues, external cues, and the diffusion of innovation. If you look around you, probably in your home or in somebody else's home, you can find some examples of intrinsic cues and extrinsic cues, and you can find some examples of innovations. I just had a look in my own house and found a very good example of a true innovation.
It's a little bit after 6 in the morning, time for some coffee. That's actually a very good opportunity to talk to you about a dynamically continuous innovation. So what we've got here is a coffee machine. And of course, coffee machines have been on the market for quite some time, but you may recognize this one. You may have seen the advertisement on TV with George Clooney. Well, I recently had a discussion with a friend who said, I said to him, this product probably been on the market for about 30 years, and he really didn't believe me. So went online, looked it up, and this market was first introduced into the market in 1976. So that is about 36 years ago. Wasn't an instant success. It took until about 1988, 1990 till it slowly became a success. The product has been protected with 1,200 different patents, and this is a very good example of how an innovation is not an instant success. So it takes quite some time for a true innovation to become a success, and you can see, for example, with the internet. With this dynamically continuous innovation, once it is a success, it's a real true invention and a real true success, because there's nothing like it on the market. In the last couple of years, we've seen a couple of other products similar to this one, but this one was really the first one, and again invented 34 years ago. When we look at description, how descriptive product information can influence your taste perception, this is another very good example. So what we've got here is a box. It's quite a luxurious box. When you open it, you've got all your different capsules in there, and then you've got a description. Well, this is in Dutch, but you've got it in English, of course. A description of each different capsules, and when you read it, it's really a description about the origin of the coffee, about the taste of the coffee, and it almost reads like a description of a wine, and that certainly will influence the taste of the consumers. It's a dynamically continuous innovation, because when you look at the capsules, it's still coffee, it's still something that you drink. So it would be a dynamically discontinuous innovation if it would, for example, be a band-aid that you put on your on your wrist, and that would then give you the flavor of coffee through your skin. Well, that's not the case. This is still something that you drink. However, it is a little bit of a different behavior, because you've got this little capsule, you put it then into the machine, and that's something that you would normally not do, and it's a portion for one, which is another new concept in the coffee market, especially 36 years ago. In the lecture, we also spoke about extrinsic cues and intrinsic cues. The extrinsic cues are, of course, the whole concept, everything that surrounds the product, from the nice booklet that you get when you buy the product, the branded package when you go into a store, the nice box that it comes with, and of course when you go into a store where they sell these capsules, there is a very special vibe. It's almost like you buying a car, but you're not buying a car, you're buying actually a coffee machine, or just some coffee, something that you would normally do in the supermarket, but they surround this whole product with a very strong external cue. And then we've got the internal cue. Because these cubes contain coffee in a sort of protective environment, the cue is the plop when you start your coffee machine. Because according to the producer, that actually tells you that this capsule has got coffee in a protective environment. So hopefully you can hear the cue when I start the coffee machine. Start the coffee machine and listen carefully for this cue. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but we'll try our best. I could hear it, but you may not be able to hear it. And then these few last strips that's used in the commercial to show the people that sort of slow coffee is really nice coffee. My sister had one of these machines years and years ago, probably about 15 years ago, and she was one of the first few consumers who adopted the innovation. So she was one of the first, probably 2.5% in the country which had such a machine. So therefore, she was a true innovator. I bought this machine about 7 or 8. No, I bought it actually 8 years ago. So that probably makes me either early or late majority. And nowadays you've got far more people who own a machine like this, and you've got more brands who put a similar machine on the market. And that also has to do with the 1,200 patents that originally protected this machine, and most of those patents have been expired, because a patent, well, I think usually they last about 30 years, so after 30 years other producers can make a similar machine. So this is a very good example of a true innovation, a dynamically continuous innovation though. I've shown you some intrinsic cues and extrinsic cues that come with this type of coffee. And remember, it's not a completely different behavior, but because you've got these different capsules, it is not normal coffee making as we've known it for the past 30 years. And then we spoke about the early adopters, late majority, and for example my sister, who's a true innovator with respect to coffee.